Star Trek Voyager actor explains Spock was key to his winning Tuvok role. Star Trek Voyager actor Tim Rice explained how he drew inspiration from Spock on Star Trek TOS in order to land his role in the franchise. Star Trek Voyager's Tim Rice explained why Spock, Leonard Nimoy, from Star Trek, the original series, was the key to winning his role as Tuvok. Although Vulcans are a popular Star Trek species, Spock and Tuvok are the only two Vulcan main characters to date in any franchise show. Nimoy originated Spock and many traits and customs of a logical alien race on TOS, but Voyager ended up being the first show since TOS to include a Vulcan as part of its main cast, leaving Tuvok with big shoes to fill. Luckily, Tuvok became a compelling character in his own right and was brought to life beautifully by Tim Rice. Although Rice was a regular Star Trek player, having appeared in other projects before Voyager, he still needed to audition for the role of Tuvok before being cast. In an interview for the 50-year mission, The Next 25 Years, From the Next Generation to J.J. Abrams, the complete and censored and unauthorized oral history of Star Trek by Mark A. Altman and Edward Gross, Rice discussed landing the part of Tuvok and how he prepared for the audition. Interestingly, Rice credited his knowledge of TOS and Spock in particular in helping him land the role. Read Rice's full quote below. Spock's key difference from Tuvok gave him a popular advantage. Interestingly, Rice's discussion of the similarities between Spock and Tuvok also hit upon the key difference between them, a full scope of their heritage. Unlike Spock, Tuvok was completely Vulcan and therefore much less prone to emotional difficulties or any true displays of vulnerability. If Tuvok did become emotional, it was because some outside force was influencing him and forcing him to act out of character. Otherwise, Tuvok was completely logical, with no human side of his personality to fall back on. This meant that Tuvok was the unintentional villain of some Voyager episodes when his rigidity came into conflict with his human crewmates. In contrast, Spock was half-human, making the struggle between the opposing sides of his personality even more fascinating. Chris is correct that watching an unemotional character make decisions is interesting, but what made Spock particularly compelling were his attempts to balance his logic and emotion, and how difficult it was sometimes for him to maintain the two. Tuvok's similarly emotionally challenging moments were much rarer on Star Trek Voyager, making him just a little harder to relate to. Spock's frequent loss of control over his emotions humanized him, and along with Nimoy originating much of the Vulcan culture, ended up giving Spock a popular advantage over Tuvok as a character.